Sophia's hands were shaking as she rang the penthouse doorbell. 7 days. That's how long her baby had been alive. The door opened. Liam stood there, and the look on his face when he saw her holding their newborn son. Disgust. Pure disgust. "You're late," he said coldly. Inside, she heard a woman laughing. Sophia stepped into what used to be her home. The baby was crying. Her body was still bleeding from childbirth. And then she saw her, his fiancée, in a green dress, looking at wedding magazines. "It smells like hospital in here," the woman said, wrinkling her nose. What happened next, in that penthouse, on that day, would either destroy Sofia Martinez forever, or turn her into something unstoppable. 3 years later, she walked back into his life, but not as the woman he threw away, as something he never saw coming. This is her story. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, you're about to hear a story that will grab your heart and not let go. But before we start, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Trust me, you'll want to see how this one ends. Now, grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's begin. Sophia's hands trembled as she reached for the penthouse doorbell. The gold-plated button gleamed under the hallway lights, mocking her with its perfection. 7 days. That's how long her son had been breathing in this world. 7 days since she'd felt her body tear apart, bringing him into existence. She pressed the bell. The sound echoed through the marble hallway, soft and elegant, like everything in this building. Like everything in the life she used to have. She shifted the baby in her arms, trying to ease the pressure on her still healing body. Every movement sent sharp pains through her abdomen. The doctors had told her to rest, to avoid stress, to give her body time to recover from the emergency C-section. She almost laughed at the memory. Rest, what a luxury that word seemed now. The door swung open. Liam stood there, phone in hand, barely glancing up from whatever text he was reading. When he finally looked at her, his eyes didn't meet hers. They went straight to the bundle in her arms. Something flickered across his face. Not love, not curiosity. Disgust, pure undisguised disgust. "You're late," he said, his voice flat and cold. Late. Sophia's mind struggled to process the word. She'd just given birth to his child in a public hospital. Alone. Because he'd blocked her number 2 months ago. When she was 7 months pregnant. When she'd asked him if he was excited about becoming a father. The hospital discharge took longer than... "I don't need excuses, Sophia. Just come in and let's get this over with." He turned and walked away, leaving the door open behind him. Not holding it for her. Not offering to help with the baby. Just walking away like she was a delivery person bringing a package he didn't want. Sophia stepped inside. The air conditioning hit her like a physical force. It was always too cold in here. Liam liked it that way. Said it helped him think clearly. But right now, it felt like walking into a freezer. The baby stirred against her chest. His tiny face scrunched up, that expression babies make right before they cry. Sophia pulled him closer, trying to shield him with her body heat. She'd wrapped him in the thin hospital blanket they'd given her. It wasn't enough. Nothing about this moment was enough. She walked down the familiar hallway, past the abstract art that cost more than most people's cars, past the designer furniture that couldn't be sat on because it was investment pieces. Every step hurt. Her body was screaming at her to lie down, to rest, to stop moving. But she kept walking. That's when she heard the laugh. High-pitched, cruel, familiar. Sophia entered the living room, and there she was, Isabella Vance, draped across the white leather sofa like a cat that had caught a particularly satisfying mouse. She wore an emerald green dress that probably cost more than Sophia's entire hospital bill. Her blonde hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. Her smile was poison. Oh God, Isabella said, wrinkling her nose like she'd smelled something rotten. It smells like hospital in here. Lim, darling, can we speed this up? The interior designer is coming at 4, and I cannot have her seeing this. She waved her manicured hand in Sophia's direction. Not at Sophia, at her. Like she was a piece of furniture that needed to be removed. Sophia's throat tightened. She'd known Isabella would be here. Lean had made that clear in the one email his lawyer had sent her. Ms. Vance will be present during the settlement discussion, as she is Mr. Sterling's fiancé and will be co-owner of all marital assets going forward. But knowing and seeing were different things, Liam. Sophia's voice came out smaller than she wanted. Weaker. Please. I just need 1 week. I can stay in the guest room. I just need time to heal before I find a place to... Before you what? Liam cut her off. He walked to the bar, his movements smooth and casual, like they were discussing the weather. He pulled out a crystal decanter and poured himself scotch. It was barely noon. Before you find another man to trap. Before you figure out your next scheme. The words landed like punches. Sophia felt each one physically. I never trapped you. You said you loved me? You said... I said a lot of things. He took a long drink, not even looking at her. I say a lot of things to a lot of people. Sophia. It's called business. You just took it personally. Sophia's vision blurred. She blinked hard, refusing to let the tears fall. Not here. Not in front of them. This isn't business. This is our child. Your son. Don't you want to at least? Don't you want to hold him? For the first time, Liam actually looked at her. Really looked. His eyes traveled from her face down to the baby. And Sophia saw something there. Something that might have been regret. Or maybe just irritation that she was still talking. That thing isn't my son. His voice was quiet. Deadly quiet. You got pregnant on purpose. Don't think I don't know. You saw a rich man and decided to lock him down. Classic gold digger move. That's not. Liam, you asked me to stop taking birth control. You said you wanted a family. You said... He said a lot of things. Isabella stood up, stretching like a cat. Men say whatever they need to say to keep their toys entertained. You were fun for a while, sweetie. But let's be honest. Look at you. Look at him. She gestured at Liam, then at Sophia. Did you really think this was going to last? A man like Liam Sterling with someone like you. Sophia's hands tightened around her baby. Someone like her. She knew what Isabella meant. Brown skin. Working class background. No family money. No connections. Just a PhD she'd worked herself half to death to earn. A PhD that Liam had convinced her to hide. To ignore. To put away, because watching her succeed made him feel inadequate. Liam pulled out his checkbook. The sound of the pen scratching across paper was loud in the silent room. He tore off the check and slid it across the marble counter. This should cover your situation. It's more than generous, considering. Sophia didn't move. Didn't reach for the check. She just stared at it. Considering what? Considering I have no proof that child is actually mine. Considering you have no legal claim to anything in this penthouse, considering I could have you removed by security right now, and you'd leave with nothing." He took another drink. "Take the money, Sophia. Take the brat and leave. Isabella wants to redecorate, and frankly, your presence here is uncomfortable, uncomfortable." Sophia's voice broke on the word. "Leon, I gave up everything for you. My job, my research, my apartment. You asked me to. You said you wanted to take care of me. You said, stop saying what I said." His voice exploded through the room, loud enough to make the baby jerk in Sophia's arms. "I don't care what I said 3 years ago, or 6 months ago, or yesterday. This is what I'm saying now. Get out." The baby started crying. High-pitched wails that echoed off the high ceilings. Sophia rocked him automatically, her body moving on instinct, even as her mind struggled to process what was happening. "Please," the word came out as a whisper. "Please, Liam, I'm begging you. Just 1 week. Give me 1 week to figure out where to go. I have no money. You froze the bank accounts. I have nowhere. Not my problem." 3 words. That's all he gave her. 3 words that destroyed what was left of her world. Isabella walked over, wine glass in hand. She was smiling. Actually smiling. Like this was entertaining. "You know what your problem is, Sophia?" Isabella's voice was syrupy sweet. "You confused business with love. Liam needed someone to play housewife for a while. Someone who'd look good on his arm at charity events, but wouldn't overshadow him. Someone simple. You fit the role. But the role is over now." She raised her wine glass, and Sophia saw it happening in slow motion. Saw the red liquid tilting. Saw it arc through the air. The wine splashed across the baby's thin hospital blanket, soaking through to Sophia's chest. The cold liquid made the baby scream louder. Oops. Isabella's smile never wavered. "Clumsy me. Guess you both need a wash anyway. This is a $10 million penthouse, honey. We can't have it smelling like poverty." Sophia looked down at her son, at his red, screaming face, at the wine staining his white blanket. Then she looked up at Liam, waiting, praying, hoping for something, anything. 1 word of defense. 1 moment of the man she'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. He was looking at his phone again, typing something, completely indifferent to his child's screams. "Security will be up in 5 minutes to escort you out," he said without looking up. "Take the check or don't. Your choice." Sophia reached for the check with shaking hands, not because she wanted his money, but because she needed to survive, because her son needed to eat. The number on the check was $10,000. $10,000 for 3 years of her life, for giving up her career, for having his child. "This isn't even enough for first month's rent and deposit," she whispered. "Then I suggest you find somewhere cheaper." Liam finally looked at her one last time. "Goodbye, Sophia. Lose my number." 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. Large men in suits who avoided looking at her face. M's. "Martinez, please come with us." Sophia wanted to scream, wanted to rage, wanted to demand how he could do this, how he could throw away his own flesh and blood like garbage. But she was so tired, so broken. And the baby was still crying, so she walked down the hallway, into the elevator. The security guards flanked her like she was a criminal, like she'd done something wrong by loving someone who couldn't love her back. The elevator doors started to close. Through the gap, Sophia could see them, Liam and Isabella, already back on the sofa, already looking at wedding brochures like nothing had happened, like she'd never existed. The doors closed completely. Sophia stared at her reflection in the mirrored walls. A woman she didn't recognize stared back, pale, broken, holding a screaming baby with a wine-stained blanket. Then she looked down at her son. His eyes were open now, dark eyes, alert, watching her through his tears, and something inside her shifted. Not heartbreak, not despair. Rage, pure, cold, clarifying rage. This man had taken everything from her. Her dignity, her career, her sense of self-worth. He'd convinced her she was nothing without him. But he'd made one critical mistake. He'd underestimated her. Sophia looked back at her reflection, at the woman who'd let herself become small, who'd hidden her intelligence, who'd believed the lie that love meant sacrifice. That woman was gone. "I'm going to destroy him," she whispered to her son. "Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. He's going to regret this moment more than anything else in his miserable life." The baby stopped crying, like he understood, like he was listening. The elevator reached the lobby. The doors opened. The afternoon Miami sun streamed in through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Sophia stepped out into it, into the heat, into the unknown. Behind her, the life she'd known ended. Ahead of her, something new was beginning. Something that would shake Liam Sterling's world to its foundation. She just didn't know it yet. The 24-hour Greyhound station smelled like stale coffee, cleaning chemicals, and desperation. Sophia sat in the corner, as far from the harsh fluorescent lights as possible, trying to make herself invisible. The plastic chair was uncomfortable, but everything was uncomfortable right now. Her body hadn't stopped hurting since she'd left the hospital. The baby, she'd named him Leo, after her father, who'd died when she was 12, was finally asleep against her chest. She'd managed to change his diaper in the bathroom using supplies from the hospital bag. She had maybe 3 diapers left. After that, she didn't know what she'd do. Her phone buzzed for the dozenth time. She'd been ignoring it, but finally looked. Text after text from an unknown number. Account frozen per Mr. Sterling's request. Contact his attorney for details. Your credit card ending in 4782 has been declined. Your credit card ending in 2956 has been declined. Your debit card has insufficient funds for the attempted transaction. Of course. Liam had frozen everything. The joint account she'd deposited her own salary into before he convinced her to quit her research position at the university. The credit cards that were in her name, but apparently linked to his approval. Everything. She opened her mobile banking app, hands shaking. Checking account she ordered. Savings account she was ordered. She checked her wallet. $43 in cash. That was it. That was all she had in the world. $43 and a 7-day-old baby. Sophia's breath came faster. Panic was rising in her chest like water, threatening to drown her. What was she going to do? Where was she going to sleep? How was she going to feed Leo when the formula samples ran out? Breathe, Mama. Just breathe. Sophia looked up, startled. An older black woman had sat down in the chair next to her. She wore a cleaning uniform with Dorothy embroidered on the pocket in faded blue thread. Her face was lined with age and experience, but her eyes were kind. "I'm sorry." Sophia managed. "You're breathing too fast." Panic breathing. "I know it well." Dorothy set down her cleaning supplies bag. Been doing it myself for 40 years, every time life decides to kick me in the teeth. Which is often. Sophia tried to smile. It felt wrong on her face. That obvious. Honey, you've got that look. The look every woman gets when a man's taken everything and left her with nothing but shame and a baby. Dorothy pulled a thermos from her bag. Tea. My grandmother's recipe. She was from Jamaica. Said tea could fix anything except a broken heart, and even then, it helps. She poured some into the thermos cap and handed it to Sophia. The gesture was so simple, so kind, that Sophia felt tears prickling her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, taking the cup. The tea was warm and smelled like ginger and cinnamon. She took a sip. It was sweet, comforting, exactly what she needed. What's his name? Dorothy nodded at Leo. He's 7 days old. 7 days and already out here in a bus station at midnight. That's a rough start. Dorothy's voice was gentle, not judgmental. Let me guess. Rich man told you he loved you, got you pregnant, then decided he wanted something newer and sheenier. Sophia stared at her. How did you? Because I lived it. Different decade, different city, same story. Dorothy settled back in her chair. Mine was 30 years ago. I was 23, working as a secretary. He was the boss. White man, powerful, charismatic. Made me feel like I was special. Like he saw me as more than just the black girl who answered his phones. Sophia found herself leaning in, listening. Desperate for someone who understood. Got pregnant. He was thrilled at first. Then his family found out. Rich white family from old money. They had opinions. Dorothy's voice went hard. He gave me $5,000 and a one-way bus ticket out of Boston. Told me if I ever contacted him again, he'd make sure I never worked anywhere in the state. What did you do? Same thing you're going to do. Survived. Dorothy met her eyes. I took that bus ticket to Miami. Had my daughter in a charity hospital. Worked 3 jobs. Cleaned offices at night. Waited tables during the day. Did laundry on weekends. It was hell. Some nights I wanted to give up. But then I'd look at my baby girl and remember, he didn't get to break me. I wouldn't let him. How did you? Sophia's voice cracked. How did you keep going? I remembered who I was before he told me who I should be. Dorothy reached into her bag again, pulling out a business card. My daughter. She runs a shelter for women in crisis. It's not fancy, but it's safe. They help women get back on their feet. Give you a room, help with childcare, assist with job searches. Sophia took the card. The paper was worn, like Dorothy carried it everywhere. Rosehaven Women's Shelter. She read aloud. I know what you're thinking, Dorothy said. You got a PhD. You published papers. You're not supposed to need a shelter. Sophia's head snapped up. How did you know I have a PhD? Honey, you've got educated, written all over you. The way you talk, the way you sit, even now. You're someone who built themselves up from nothing, and some man convinced you to tear it all down. Dorothy leaned forward. But here's what he didn't know. You can't destroy someone's intelligence. Can't take away what they learned. Can't erase what's up here. She tapped her temple. That brain of yours. That's your weapon. That's how you survive. Sophia felt something crack open in her chest. The tears she'd been holding back for hours started falling. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. I'm so tired. Everything hurts. And I'm so angry I can barely think straight. Good. Use that anger. Don't let it eat you up inside. But don't let it go either. Hold on to it. Let it fuel you. Dorothy stood up, gathering her things. I've got to start my shift. But you call that number. My daughter Jasmine will take care of you. And Sophia. Sophia looked up, surprised Dorothy knew her name. She must have seen it on the hospital bracelet, still on her wrist. That man who threw you away, he made the biggest mistake of his life. Men like that, they think women are disposable. They never expect us to come back stronger. Dorothy smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. It was fierce. Show him what a mistake really costs. She walked away toward the bathrooms, leaving Sophia alone with her sleeping son and a business card that felt like a lifeline. Sophia looked down at Leo. He was sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that his world had imploded before he was even a week old. His tiny hand was curled into a fist against her chest. His breathing was soft and even. She reached into the hospital bag for a clean onesie and felt something stiff. Paper. Her hand closed around it. And she pulled it out slowly, her degree. The one she'd hidden in a drawer 18 months ago. The one Liam said he didn't want displayed because it made visitors uncomfortable. Because it made him look bad to have a wife smarter than him. She unfolded it carefully. The paper was creased now, but the words were still clear. Columbia University hereby confers upon Sofia Martinez the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biotechnology with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Doctor of Philosophy. She'd forgotten. Somehow, in 3 years of making herself smaller, of hiding her light, of pretending to be less than she was, she'd forgotten this fundamental truth about herself. She wasn't just Sophia, the discarded mistress, the unwanted baby mama, the woman thrown out with nothing. She was Dr. Sofia Martinez, and she'd earned every single letter of that title through blood, sweat, and tears. She thought about her research, the breakthrough she'd been working on before Liam convinced her to quit. A cellular regeneration serum that could revolutionize trauma treatment. She'd been so close to a major discovery. And she'd walked away from it because Liam said he needed her at home, that her career was causing problems in their relationship. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from the bank. Another reminder that she had nothing. But that wasn't true. She had Leo. She had her brain. She had a degree that represented years of the hardest work she'd ever done. And now, she had Dorothy's card. Sophia looked at the business card, then at her degree, then at her sleeping son. I'm going to make you a promise, she whispered to Leo. I'm going to make sure you never feel unwanted, never feel like you're not enough. And someday, somehow, I'm going to make sure your father regrets this night more than anything else in his life. Leo stirred but didn't wake. His little hand opened and closed, grabbing onto her finger. Sophia stood up. Every part of her body protested, but she stood anyway. She walked to the payphone, the old-fashioned kind that still took quarters, and dialed the number on Dorothy's card. A woman answered on the third ring, sounding tired but professional. Rose Haven, this is Jasmine speaking. Your mother, Dorothy, gave me this number. She said you might have room for someone who... Sophia's voice broke. Someone who needs help. Are you safe right now? Are you in danger? No. I'm at the Greyhound station on 7th Avenue. I have a 7-day-old baby and nowhere to go. Okay, listen to me. I'm sending someone to pick you up. Her name is Maria. She'll be there in 20 minutes. She'll be driving a blue van. Don't leave with anyone else, understand? Yes. You're going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you're going to be okay. Sophia hung up and went back to her corner. Leo was starting to wake up, making the little grunting sounds that meant he'd be hungry soon. She had one bottle of formula left. After that, she'd need to figure something out. But for now, for this moment, she had a plan. She had somewhere to go. 23 minutes later, a blue van pulled up outside. A short, round woman with grey hair and the kindest face Sophia had ever seen climbed out. Sophia, she called. Sophia grabbed her bags and walked out into the warm Miami night. Maria took one look at her, pale, shaking, holding a newborn, and her face softened. "Oh, honey, come on. Let's get you and this baby somewhere safe." She helped Sophia into the van, taking her bags, making sure she was comfortable. The van smelled like vanilla and coffee. There was a car seat already installed in the back. Dorothy called ahead. Maria explained as she buckled Leo into the car seat. "Said you'd need this." Sophia watched this stranger, this woman who owed her nothing, carefully securing her son, making sure he was safe, and something inside her broke and healed at the same time. "Why are you helping me?" The question came out small. Maria finished with the car seat and turned to her. "Because someone helped me once. Because that's what we do. We lift each other up when men try to tear us down." She patted Sophia's hand. "Besides, Dorothy said you were special, said you had that fire. She's never wrong about that." As they drove through the dark Miami streets, Sophia looked out the window at the city she'd called home for 3 years. The city where she'd fallen in love, where she'd been betrayed, where she'd given birth alone. This city had taken everything from her. But she wasn't leaving. She was going to stay. She was going to rebuild. And one day, she was going to make sure Liam, Sterling, knew exactly what he'd thrown away. The van pulled up to a modest building in a quiet neighborhood. Rosehaven was painted on the side in faded letters. Maria helped her out, carrying Leo's car seat. "Come on, let's get you settled. You must be exhausted." Sophia followed her inside. The shelter was clean, simple. Nothing like the penthouse. But it was warm, and it was safe. And for tonight, that was enough. 6 months later, Sophia barely recognized the woman staring back at her in the bathroom mirror. Thinner, yes. The weight had fallen off from stress and exhaustion. Dark circles lived permanently under her eyes from the sleepless nights. But something else had changed too. Something deeper. Her eyes looked different. Harder. More focused. Like they belonged to someone who'd walked through fire and decided to become the flame. Leo babbled from his playpen in the corner of their small room at Rosehaven. He was sitting up now, reaching for everything with his chubby hands. Today he was fascinated by a mobile she'd made from lab equipment packaging. Colorful tubes and beakers she'd cleaned and strung together. He loved the way they caught the light. "Ma," he squealed, which wasn't actually "ma," yet but close enough to make her heart squeeze every time. Sophia walked over and picked him up, kissing his chubby cheek. He smelled like baby soap and innocence. Like hope. "Morning, Dr. Martinez." Jasmine appeared in the doorway, holding a cup of coffee. "Mail for you." Sophia took the envelope, bouncing Leo on her hip. Her stomach dropped when she saw the return address, Miami General Hospital Research Facility. She'd applied for a research position 3 weeks ago. Used her Columbia credentials. Had a phone interview that went well. She'd been hopeful for the first time in months. But when she opened the letter, her hope died. We regret to inform you that we've decided to pursue other candidates. While your credentials are impressive, we feel your research focus doesn't align with our current objectives. It was the 4th rejection in as many weeks. Always the same polite language. Always the same result. Let me guess, Jasmine said, reading her face. Another no. I don't understand. My research was published in 3 major journals. I have recommendations from top scientists in my field. I should at least get interviews. Unless someone's making sure you don't. Jasmine's voice was gentle but firm. Sophia, you have to consider. That might be blacklisting you. Men with money have long reaches. Sophia had considered it. Of course she had. But accepting it meant accepting that he'd taken everything. Her home, her money, her dignity, and now her career. Then I'll find something he can't control, she said quietly. That night, Sophia sat in the shelter's common room, laptop open, scrolling through job listings. Most required experience she didn't have or paid minimum wage. She had Leo to think about, daycare costs, diapers, formula. Medical bills from the birth she was still paying off. Her eye caught on one posting: night custodian, Miami General Research Facility, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Oh, 1 second hour. No experience necessary. Night custodian. Cleaning floors in the same building, where she should have been leading research teams. But night shift meant access. It meant time. It meant opportunity. Sophia clicked apply. 2 days later, she sat across from Marcus Chen in a dingy office that smelled like pine, sol, and old coffee. He was in his 50s, with graying hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. You're overqualified. He tapped her resume. PhD in biotechnology. Why would you want to mop floors? Sophia had practiced this answer. Rehearsed it until it sounded natural instead of desperate. My ex-husband has been blacklisting me in the biotech industry. I can't get a research position anywhere in Miami. But I have a 6-month-old son who needs to eat. I need a job. Any job. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Or sympathy. My daughter, he said quietly. She's a lawyer. Graduated top of her class. Her ex-husband spread rumors about her, destroyed her reputation. She had to move to Atlanta to start over. He set down the resume. I don't see nothing, understand. Sophia's heart beat faster. I'm sorry. I don't see what you do on your breaks. I don't see what you look at on the computers. I don't see nothing. He met her eyes directly. The research labs are on the 3rd floor. They get cleaned between midnight and 2 a.m. when no one's around. What you do with the remaining 5 hours of your shift is your business, long as the floors are clean. We clear. Sophia's throat tightened. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't get caught. And if you do, I never had this conversation. That night, Sophia strapped Leo into his baby carrier against her chest and walked into Miami General at 1:45 p.m. The security guard, an older black man named James with kind eyes and a crossword puzzle, barely looked up. Chen said you'd have a baby. He sleeps through everything, Sophia promised. It was mostly true. Leo had learned to sleep through noise. The shelter wasn't quiet. James waved her through. Elevators to the left. Your supplies are in the closet on 3. The research floor was eerily quiet after midnight. Sophia started her actual job first, mopping floors, emptying trash, wiping down surfaces. She worked quickly, efficiently, making sure everything was spotless. By 1:30 a.m., she was done. The official cleaning. Then the real work began. She found an empty office, set Leo's carrier on the floor where she could see him, and pulled out her laptop. For the next 4 hours, she reviewed research papers, revisited her old notes, sketched out new experimental designs. The equipment was right there. Centrifuges, spectrophotometers, cell culture facilities. Everything she needed, sitting unused in the middle of the night. She didn't touch anything. First, she needed to plan, to figure out exactly what she could do with limited resources and borrowed time. Her old research had been focused on cellular regeneration, using modified proteins to help damaged tissue heal faster. If she could just run a few basic experiments, see if her hypotheses held up. Interesting reading for a janitor. Sophia's head snapped up. A woman stood in the doorway, mid-50s in a tailored suit even at 3 a.m., with grey streaks in her black hair and eyes that missed nothing. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. Sophia recognized her immediately. She was a legend in biotech, a Nigerian immigrant who'd built a pharmaceutical empire from nothing, who'd overcome discrimination and doubt to become one of the most respected scientists in the country. Dear Okonkwo. Sophia closed her laptop, heart hammering. I'm sorry, I was just reading a paper on protein synthesis patterns in cellular regeneration. I can see the title from here. Patricia walked closer, her heels clicking on the linoleum. That's graduate-level material. Advanced graduate-level material. Sophia's mind raced. She was going to be fired. Maybe worse. I should get back to? Don't. Patricia held up a hand. I've been watching you for 3 nights now. Watching you clean with textbook precision, then settle in to read scientific papers while your baby sleeps. I got curious. She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then showed Sophia the screen. It was Sophia's doctoral thesis, published, cited in 17 other papers, Dr. Sophia Martinez, Columbia University. Your work on regenerative protein sequences was groundbreaking. You disappeared 3 years ago. I assumed you went into private research. Patricia's eyes narrowed. But here you are, mopping floors in the middle of the night. Why? Sophia looked at Leo, sleeping peacefully in his carrier. She could lie, make up some story. But something about Patricia's directness made her want to tell the truth. My ex-husband is Liam Sterling. He convinced me to give up my career. Then he kicked me out when I was 7 days postpartum. Now he's made sure I can't get hired anywhere in my field. Sophia's voice was steady. Calm. So I clean floors, but I haven't stopped being a scientist. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Sterling, the tech CEO. Yes. I've met him. Pompous. Mediocre. Trading on his father's name and his Harvard connections. She looked at Leo. That's his son. Yes? And he threw you both out? With $10,000 and a freezing penthouse full of wine stains. Patricia's jaw tightened. Come with me. She walked out of the office. Sophia hesitated, then grabbed Leo's carrier and followed. Patricia led her down the hall to one of the research labs. She unlocked it with a key card and held the door open. Show me what you're working on. I don't have access to. You do now. Patricia gestured to the equipment. Show me. Explain your hypothesis. Prove to me you're as brilliant as your thesis suggests. For the next 2 hours, Sophia explained her research. She sketched out molecular structures on a whiteboard, pulled up data on the computer, described experiments she'd been designing in her head for months. Patricia asked questions. Hard questions. Brilliant questions. The kind that pushed Sophia to think deeper, consider angles she hadn't seen. When Sophia finally finished, her hands were shaking from adrenaline. Leo was starting to wake up, making soft noises. Patricia stood at the whiteboard, staring at Sophia's diagrams. This is extraordinary. If you're right, if this protein sequence works the way you think, you're looking at a treatment that could revolutionize trauma care, burn victims, accident survivors, surgical recovery. Billions of dollars in medical applications. I know. But I can't prove it without lab access, funding, time. What if you had all three? Patricia turned to face her. I'm starting a private research firm. Small, independent, focused on breakthrough therapies. I need a partner. Someone brilliant. Someone hungry. Someone who has something to prove. Sophia's breath caught. A partner. 20% equity. You develop your serum, we patent it together, and we build something that matters. Patricia pulled out a business card. But I need to know you're serious, that you're willing to work harder than you've ever worked in your life, that you want this more than you want revenge on the man who threw you away. Sophia looked at the card, then at Leo, now fully awake and looking at her with those dark, trusting eyes. Then back at Patricia. I want both, she said honestly. I want to build something extraordinary. And I want Liam Sterling to know, someday, exactly what he. Patricia smiled. It was fierce. Knowing. Good. Because 30 years ago, I was where you are. A white man stole my research, got rich while I had nothing. I swore if I ever got the chance, I'd make sure that never happened to another woman like us. She extended her hand. So, Dr. Martinez, are we partners? Sophia took her hand, shaking it firmly. We're partners. Good. Now go home. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we start changing your life. As Sophia left the building, Leo on her chest, the sun was starting to rise over Miami. The same city that had watched her fall was about to watch her rise. And Liam Sterling had no idea what was coming. 2 years. That's how long it took for everything to change completely. Sophia stood in the glass-walled office on the 23rd floor, watching the sunrise paint Biscayne Bay in shades of gold and pink. Behind her, she could hear Patricia on a video call with investors in Singapore, her voice crisp and professional as she discussed their latest clinical trial results. Their company, SV Industries, named after their initials, occupied this entire floor now. 32 employees, 3 major patents, millions in venture capital funding. And at the center of it all was Sophia's serum, her breakthrough, her revenge served cold and precise, disguised as pharmaceutical innovation. They're calling it a miracle drug, Patricia said, ending her call. The FDA is fast tracking approval. If the final trials go well, we're looking at market release in 8 months. Sophia barely heard her. She was watching Leo in the corner office they'd converted into a playroom. He was 3 now, tall for his age, with his father's dark hair and her brown skin. He was building an elaborate tower with blocks, narrating an entire story to himself about knights and dragons. Mama, Look, he called out. The dragon is guarding the castle. That's wonderful, baby. Sophia called back, smiling despite the weight in her chest. He'd never asked about his father. Not yet. But someday he would. And Sophia had no idea what she'd say. You're doing it again, Patricia said gently, coming to stand beside her. Doing what? Looking at him like someone's going to take him away. Sophia turned back to the window. Maybe I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. The last 2 years have been surreal. Surreal because you worked yourself half to death. Because you refused to give up. Because you're brilliant. Patricia's tone softened. Have you thought more about what I said? About the Innovation Summit? There it was. The question Sophia had been avoiding for 3 weeks. The Sterling Enterprises Innovation Summit. The biggest tech and business conference in Florida. 3 days of presentations, networking, and deal-making. Every major investor would be there. Every journalist. Every person who mattered in the industry. And Liam would be there. As the host. He'll see me? Sophia said quietly. Exactly. And so will everyone else. Sophia, you've spent 2 years building something extraordinary. It's time people know your name. Your real name. Not the woman Liam Sterling threw away, but Dr. Sophia Martinez, CEO of SV Industries. It feels like I'm doing this for revenge. Are you? Patricia challenged. Or are you doing this because you've earned the right to stand in that room as an equal? To show your son that his mother is someone who fights back. Who doesn't stay broken. Sophia's phone buzzed. A news alert. Sterling Enterprises faces major debt crisis. CEO Liam Sterling scrambles for solutions. She read the headline twice, then opened the full article. The details were damning. Bad investments. Mismanagement. A company hemorrhaging money for 18 months, held together by Liam's reputation and his father's legacy. Sophia said slowly. Patricia pulled up her tablet, sliding it across the desk. Financial reports. Debt analysis. Market projections. She'd clearly been researching this. He's not just failing. He's desperate. Sterling Enterprises is 3/4 away from bankruptcy. The board is circling. His father's old partners are calling for his resignation. Patricia tapped the screen. And here's the interesting part. They need a miracle. Specifically, they need our miracle. Sophia looked up. Our serum. Sterling Enterprises has a medical device division. They've been trying to develop trauma treatment technology for years. Unsuccessfully. If they could license our serum, integrate it into their existing infrastructure. Patricia smiled. It would save the company. Make them billions. And Liam would have to come to us. He'd have to beg. The irony was almost too perfect. Too cruel? When is the summit? Sophia asked. 3 weeks. Sophia walked over to Leo's playroom. He'd finished his tower and was now making the dragon fly around it, complete with sound effects. When he saw her watching, he grinned. That smile. That perfect, innocent smile. Everything she did was for him. Every late night, every sacrifice. Every moment of doubt and fear and rage channeled into building something that would give him a future. But was that true? Or was she lying to herself? Was some part of this about making Liam pay for what he'd done? Book us a spot. Sophia said, turning back to Patricia. Front and center. I want him to see me walk in. Patricia's grin was fierce. Now you're talking. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Sophia barely slept. Perfecting their presentation, coordinating with their legal team, making sure every single detail was airtight. They were going to offer Sterling Enterprises an exclusive license to their serum. For a price. A very specific price. Patricia hired a stylist, someone who dressed Fortune 500 CEOs, who understood power dressing and how to make an entrance. The woman looked Sophia up and down on their first meeting. You're beautiful. Great bone structure. But you dress like someone who doesn't want to be seen. Sophia looked down at her simple black dress. Professional. Forgettable. That's kind of the point. Not anymore. The stylist pulled out a rack of clothes. You're about to walk into a room full of people who dismissed you, underestimated you, or never knew you existed. We're going to make sure they can't look away. She held up a charcoal power suit, perfectly tailored, devastatingly elegant. The kind of thing that cost more than Sophia's old monthly rent. Try this. Sophia put it on. Looked at herself in the mirror. She looked powerful, successful. Like someone who belonged in boardrooms and on magazine covers. Nothing like the broken girl who'd been thrown out onto the street 3 years ago. The red heels. The stylist said, handing over shoes that were beautiful and terrifying. Not the black ones. Why? Because you're not going to that summit to blend in. You're going there to be remembered. The night before the summit, Sophia stood in her penthouse. Yes, she had a penthouse now, in a building 2 blocks from Liam's old one, staring out at the Miami skyline. She'd made it. Against every odd. Despite every obstacle. She'd clawed her way back from nothing and built something remarkable. So why did she still feel hollow? A knock on the door. Patricia entered, holding 2 glasses of wine. Real wine. The expensive kind that Isabella used to spill on babies. Last chance to back out. Patricia said, handing her a glass. Sophia took it but didn't drink. Tell me I'm not doing this for revenge. Are you? I don't know anymore. Sophia's voice was barely a whisper. Sometimes I imagine his face when he sees me. And I feel. Nothing like he's just a stranger. Other times I feel everything all at once. Rage, hurt, betrayal. It all comes back like it happened yesterday. Patricia set down her glass and took Sophia's hands in hers. Listen to me. You are not doing this for revenge. You're doing this because you refused to stay broken. Because you built something beautiful out of ashes. Because you're giving that little boy a future. She squeezed gently. If Liam Sterling happens to be in the room when you claim your victory, that's just poetry. Sophia finally smiled. You're good at this. Patricia headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Sophia. Wear the red heels tomorrow. Trust me. After Patricia left, Sophia walked to Leo's room. He was asleep. One arm wrapped around his stuffed lion. The one Maria from the shelter had given him when he was 6 months old. He still slept with it every night. She brushed his hair back from his forehead. This perfect little human who'd saved her life just by existing. Who'd given her a reason to keep fighting when everything else fell apart. Tomorrow, Mommy's going to show you what happens when you refuse to give up, she whispered. Watch me, baby. Watch what I become. Leo stirred but didn't wake. Sophia kissed his forehead, breathing in his little boy's smell of soap and innocence. Then she went to her office and worked until dawn. Because Sophia Martinez didn't leave things to chance. and she was done being underestimated. The Miami Convention Center glittered like a diamond in the morning sun. Sophia arrived in a black SUV, part of a convoy that Patricia had insisted on. "Image matters," she'd said, "especially when you're about to own the room." Sophia stepped out of the car. The red heels clicked against the marble steps. Her charcoal suit fit perfectly. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek bun. She wore minimal jewelry, just the pearl earrings her father had given her mother, the ones Sophia had kept hidden for 3 years. Heads turned as she walked in. Not everyone recognized her, but they recognized power when they saw it. Confidence, success. The lobby was packed with Florida's business elite. Tech CEOs, venture capitalists, politicians, everyone who was anyone. And then she saw him. Liam stood near the main stage, talking to a group of investors. He looked diminished, thinner than she remembered. His expensive suit hung slightly wrong, like he'd lost weight quickly. There were shadows under his eyes. His smile was forced. And clinging to his arm like a life raft was Isabella. Still beautiful, still perfectly dressed. But there was something desperate in the way she held onto him. Sophia felt Patricia's hand on her lower back. A gentle reminder: breathe. Dr. Martinez, a young journalist, approached, microphone ready. "You're the CEO of SV Industries, correct? There are rumors you're here to make a major announcement." Before Sophia could answer, Liam's voice cut through the crowd. "Sophia." The room didn't actually go quiet, but it felt like it did. Like someone had hit pause on the entire world. Sophia turned slowly, deliberately. Let him look. Let him see exactly what he'd thrown away. Liam's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Shock, confusion, disbelief. Something that might have been fear. He started walking toward her. Isabella tottered behind in her stilettos, looking between them with narrowed eyes. "Is that?" Isabella's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "Is that the maid?" Sophia smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "Hello, Liam." "Isabella. How lovely to see you both." She started to turn away, let him stew in his confusion. But Liam grabbed her arm. His grip was tight, desperate. "Wait. What are you doing here? How did you? Where have you been?" Sophia looked down at his hand on her arm. Then slowly, deliberately, back up at his face. "You're touching me without permission. I suggest you stop." Her voice was ice. Absolute zero. Liam dropped her arm like it had burned him. "We need to talk," he said urgently. "Please, Sophia, it's important. Can we?" "I'm sure it is." Sophia adjusted her sleeve where he'd grabbed her, brushing away his touch like it contaminated her. "Unfortunately, I have a panel to prepare for. Excuse me." "Sophia, wait, But she was already walking away. Patricia fell into step beside her, and together they disappeared into the crowd. Behind them, Liam stood frozen. Isabella was saying something to him, but he wasn't listening. He was staring after Sophia like she was a ghost, like she'd come back from the dead to haunt him. That felt good, didn't it? Patricia murmured as they walked. "Terrifying, actually. Same thing." The main conference hall was packed, every seat filled. Sophia stood backstage, watching the crowd through a gap in the curtains. Liam was in the front row. He looked sick. "Good. 5 minutes, Dr. Martinez," the stage manager said. Patricia squeezed her shoulder. "You've got this. Go show them who you are." The lights dimmed. The moderator walked on stage, a well-known tech journalist named David Chen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce a true innovator in the field of biotechnology. CEO of SV Industries, the mind behind the revolutionary cellular regeneration serum that's been making headlines worldwide. Dr. Sofia Martinez. The applause was polite, professional. They didn't know yet. They had no idea what was coming. Sofia walked onto the stage. The lights were bright enough to hide most of the audience, but she could feel Liam's presence, could feel him staring. She took her place behind the podium, smiled, waited for silence. "Thank you for having me," she began. Her voice was steady, stronger than she felt. 3 years ago, I was nobody. I had nothing. I was told I was worthless, that I'd never amount to anything, that my ideas were just dreams. She clicked to the first slide. It showed the molecular structure of her serum in glowing detail. "I'm here today to tell you that the people who tried to break me were wrong. Dead wrong. And I'm here to offer Sterling Enterprises something they desperately need." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Sofia let them talk. Let them wonder, a lifeline. She clicked to the next slide. Financial projections, patent valuations, numbers that made people sit up straighter in their seats. SV Industries has developed a cellular regeneration therapy that will revolutionize trauma treatment, burns, surgical recovery, accident victims. We're talking about healing times reduced by 70%. Quality of life improved exponentially. Lives saved. The murmurs got louder, more excited. We're prepared to license this technology exclusively to one company. The bidding starts at $500 million. The room exploded in whispers. Phones came out. People started calculating. Sofia waited. Let the chaos build. Then she looked directly at Liam. "But before we begin, I think it's important for everyone to understand why I built this company, why I refused to quit when I had every reason to give up." She clicked to the next slide. Security footage. 3 years old, grainy but crystal clear, the penthouse. Sofia holding a newborn. Isabella spilling wine on the baby's blanket. Liam handing over a check with a look of pure disgust on his face. Sofia being escorted out by security guards. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. "That's me," Sofia said quietly, 3 years ago. "That's the night the father of my child kicked us out with nowhere to go. No money, no support. Just a check for $10,000 and instructions to lose his number." She clicked again. Photos appeared on the screen. The bus station. The shelter. Sofia mopping floors with Leo strapped to her back. "That's me working night shifts as a janitor while my infant son slept against my chest. That's me rebuilding from nothing. That's me refusing to accept his version of who I was." Her voice grew stronger, sharper. "And this?" She clicked to the final slide. A legal document. "This is the purchase agreement for 70% of Sterling Enterprises' outstanding debt. Finalized this morning." The room erupted. Gasps. Shouted questions. Camera flashes exploding like lightning. "Which means, Mr. Sterling?" Sofia's eyes locked on Liam. He'd gone white, completely bloodless. "I don't just own your company's future. I own your past, your present, and every decision you'll make from this moment forward." Liam stood up, swaying slightly. "That's not. I can. I did." Sofia's smile was ice and fury. "Security footage doesn't lie, Liam. Neither do financial records. You've been embezzling from your own company for 2 years to fund Isabella's lifestyle. The SEC received a very detailed anonymous tip this morning. I'm sure they'll be in touch. Isabella tried to run, actually bolted for the exit. 2 men in suits, federal agents, from their badges, stopped her at the door. The room exploded into chaos. Journalists shouting questions, investors on their phones, security trying to restore order, and in the center of it all stood Sophia. Calm, untouchable, finally getting what she'd worked for. Liam collapsed back into his seat. His mouth was moving, but no sound came out. He looked like a man watching his entire world end in real time. Because he was. Patricia appeared at Sophia's elbow. "The car's ready whenever you are." Sophia nodded. But before she left, she walked down from the stage. Slowly, deliberately. She walked right up to where Liam sat, broken and speechless. She leaned close enough that only he could hear. "You taught me something valuable, Liam. You taught me that the only thing worth believing in is yourself. That the only person who decides your worth is you." She straightened up. "So thank you. For the lesson. For showing me exactly what not to be. For giving me the motivation to become this." His eyes were wet. Tears actually forming. "Sophia, please. I'm sorry. Save it. I didn't do this for your apologies. I did this because you needed to learn what consequences feel like. What it's like when someone takes everything from you." She turned and walked away. Patricia was waiting by the exit. Together they left the conference hall. Behind them, the chaos continued. Liam's world burning down around him. But Sophia didn't look back. Not once. She was done looking back. The media storm lasted exactly 4 days before something even more shocking broke. Sophia was in her office on the 23rd floor reviewing licensing contracts with their legal team, when Patricia burst through the door without knocking. Her face was pale. Actually pale. Patricia never looked shaken. "Turn on the news," she said, voice tight.
"Now."
Sophia grabbed the remote. Every screen in her office came to life simultaneously. CNN, MSNBC, Fox Business, local news. They were all showing the same thing. Isabella Vance in handcuffs, being led up courthouse steps by federal agents. But that wasn't the shocking part. Sophia had expected that. The embezzlement charges, the fraud investigation. That was inevitable after her presentation. The shocking part was the banner scrolling across the bottom of every screen. Sophia's coffee cup slipped from her hand. It hit the desk, spilling everywhere, but she barely noticed. "What?" The word came out as a whisper. The news anchor's voice filled the room, professional and grave. "In a stunning development in the Sterling Enterprises scandal, Isabella Vance has been arrested for the attempted murder of CEO Liam Sterling. According to sources close to the investigation, Ms. Vance has been systematically poisoning Mr. Sterling with arsenic over the past 18 months. The alleged motive was to inherit his estate, which at the time was valued at over $200 million. Mr. Sterling is currently hospitalized at Miami General in critical condition." The screen cut to footage of an ambulance. Liam being wheeled out on a stretcher. He looked grey, skeletal. Nothing like the man she'd seen just 4 days ago. Sophia's phone started ringing. Unknown number. She stared at it for 3 rings before answering. "Daka. Martinez?" A woman's voice, official and crisp. "This is Detective Sarah Chen with Miami PD Homicide Division. We need to speak with you regarding Liam Sterling. Can you come to the station today?" "Am I?" Am I a suspect? No, Mum. But we need your help. How soon can you be here? An hour. Sophia hung up. Patricia was already gathering her things. I'm coming with you, Patricia said. It wasn't a question. What if they think I? They don't. If they did, they'd have sent officers to arrest you, not called politely. Patricia grabbed her purse. But you're not going to a police station alone. Not after everything. The Miami Police Department Homicide Division was nothing like TV shows made it look. No dramatic interrogation rooms with one-way mirrors. Just a regular office building with fluorescent lights and the smell of burnt coffee. Detective Sarah Chen met them in the lobby. She was younger than Sophia expected. Maybe 35, with sharp eyes and tired lines around her mouth. The kind of person who'd seen too much, too soon. Dr. Martinez, thank you for coming. She shook Sophia's hand, then Patricia's. I'm sorry to drag you down here, but we're trying to piece together a timeline. She led them to a conference room. Not an interrogation room. That was good. The walls were glass. People walked by outside, going about normal police business. Detective Chen sat across from them, opening a thick file. Let me be clear up front. You're not a suspect. Your alibis check out completely. You were at a board meeting in Atlanta when Mr. Sterling was admitted to the hospital. Before that, you haven't had direct contact with him in nearly 3 years. Sophia's shoulders relaxed slightly. Then why am I here? Because someone very much wants us to think you're involved. Detective Chen slid a document across the table. This was filed by Sterling's attorneys 2 days ago. They're claiming you had motive, means, and opportunity to poison Liam Sterling. That you started poisoning him before you left 3 years ago. And Ms. Vance simply continued your work. Sophia stared at the legal document. Saw her name. Saw the accusations. Saw Liam's signature at the bottom. That's insane, Patricia said. Sophia was thrown out with a newborn baby. She had nothing. How would she have? We know. Detective Chen held up a hand. We've done our homework, Doctor. Martinez was at Rosehaven Women's Shelter during the critical time period. Then working night shifts at Miami General. Multiple witnesses, time cards, security footage. She couldn't have done it. Then why the accusations? Sophia asked. Because someone's trying very hard to shift blame away from Isabella Vance. The detective pulled out another file. Medical reports, lab results, toxicology screens. Here's what we know. Liam Sterling has been slowly dying for over 1.5 years. Arsenic poisoning, administered in small, consistent doses. We caught it because one of his doctors, Dr. Raymond Patel, happened to see the symptoms and ran the right tests. She spread out the reports like she was laying cards on a table. The poisoning started approximately 2 years ago. Small amounts at first, gradually increasing. It's why Sterling started looking sick, losing weight, making bad business decisions. The arsenic was literally destroying his brain function, along with his organs. Sophia felt sick, actually nauseous. And they think I did this? His lawyers are claiming you had access to his food and drinks before you left. That you could have started the process as revenge for being rejected. That's ridiculous, Patricia said. Sophia left when her son was 7 days old. This poisoning started 2 years ago. The timeline doesn't match. Exactly. Detective Chen leaned forward. Which brings us to Ms. Vance. She moved in with Sterling about 18 months ago. We have evidence she was purchasing arsenic online. We have her fingerprints on bottles. found in Sterling's penthouse. But here's where it gets interesting. She pulled out her transcript. Pages of text messages. Ems Vance is talking. She lawyered up immediately, but she's talking. And she claims someone else approached her with the plan. Offered to pay her to finish what they'd started. To make sure Sterling died. And to frame you for it. The room seemed to tilt. Sophia gripped the edge of the table. Who? She managed. She won't say. Not yet. Her lawyer's trying to work out a plea deal. Detective Chen's eyes were sympathetic. But Dr. Martinez, there's something else you need to know. Something the media doesn't have yet. She pulled out another medical report. This one was current. Dated yesterday. Liam Sterling is dying. The arsenic damaged his liver, kidneys, and heart too severely. He's in organ failure. Without a very specific treatment protocol, something that doesn't currently exist, he has maybe 3 months. Probably less. Sophia's hands started shaking. She put them in her lap where no one could see. Why are you telling me this? Detective Chen looked uncomfortable. Because according to several medical experts we've consulted, including Dr. Patel, your company is developing the only treatment that might save him. The cellular regeneration serum. It's still in clinical trials, but multiple doctors have said it could potentially reverse the organ damage. Maybe. If it works the way the early data suggests. The irony was too perfect. Too cruel. Too much like something out of a nightmare. And you want me to save his life? Sophia said flatly. I want you to make whatever choice you can live with. Detective Chen's voice softened. For what it's worth, I read the police report from 3 years ago. The one you filed when Sterling kicked you out. It was buried. Probably because Sterling has friends in the department. Someone marked it unfounded and shelved it. But I found it. I read your statement. I saw the hospital records from your C-section. I know what he did to you and your son. She stood up, gathering her files. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you the facts. The man who destroyed your life is dying. You might be the only person who can save him. And someone, we don't know who yet, set all of this in motion, hoping you'd be blamed for his death. She handed Sophia a card. If you think of anything, or if you want to know more, call me. Otherwise, this conversation stays between us. Sophia sat in the police station lot for 20 minutes, staring at the dashboard. Patricia was on the phone, talking to their lawyers, making sure everything was documented, making sure Sophia was protected. But Sophia wasn't listening. She was thinking about Liam, about the man she'd loved, the man who'd destroyed her, the man who was dying. What are you going to do? Patricia asked, hanging up her phone. I don't know. You don't owe him anything, Sophia. Not one damn thing. I know. He threw you away like garbage. He let that woman pour wine on your newborn son. He tried to destroy your career. I know, Patricia. I know all of it. Sophia's voice was quiet. But if I let him die when I could save him, what does that make me? Human. It makes you human, does it? Sophia looked at her. Or does it make me just like him? Someone who decides who deserves to live and who doesn't based on how much they hurt us? Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. Where do you want to go? Miami, General. I need to see him. Sophia. I need to see him, Patricia. I need to look at him and figure out what I'm going to do. Because right now, I have no idea. The ICU was sterile, quiet. The kind of quiet that felt like death was already in the room, just waiting. A nurse directed Sophia to room 347. She stood outside the door for a full 5 minutes, hand on the handle, unable to make herself open it. What was she supposed to feel? Satisfaction? Vindication? Because she felt neither of those things. She just felt hollow. She opened the door. Liam looked terrible. The confident, cruel man from the summit was gone. In his place was someone fragile. Someone small. Tubes and wires everywhere. Machines beeping steadily. His skin was grey against the white sheets. His cheekbones were sharp, his eyes sunken. He was dying. Anyone could see it. He was awake. His eyes tracked to her as she entered. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Sophia. His voice was barely there. A whisper. You came. I don't know why, she admitted. She stayed by the door, as far from him as possible while still being in the room, to watch me die. I haven't decided yet. They sat in silence. The machines beeped, counted down, marked time in mechanical heartbeats. I'm sorry, Liam said finally. Each word seemed to cost him. I know that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't fix anything I broke. But I'm sorry. For all of it. Why? The question burst out of her. 3 years of pain in one word. Why did you do it? Was I really that terrible? Was our baby really that worthless to you? Was I that easy to throw away? None. He closed his eyes. A tear slid down his cheek. You were perfect. That was the problem. You were smarter than me, kinder than me, better than me in every single way that mattered. And I hated it. God help me, Sophia. I hated feeling small next to you. So you made me smaller. Yes. His voice broke completely. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too much of a coward to be better. Too much of a coward to admit that I was lucky you even looked at me. That someone like you could love someone like me. And now? Sophia felt tears on her cheeks. She hadn't realized she was crying. Now you're dying and all you can think about is what? Redemption? Forgiveness? No. I know I don't deserve either of those things. He opened his eyes again. They were wet, devastated. All I can think about is the son I'll never meet. The little boy I threw away like he meant nothing. I think about him every single day. I wonder what he looks like, what he sounds like, if he's happy, if he knows his father is a monster who didn't want him. Sophia's chest felt tight, like she couldn't breathe. His name is Leo, she said quietly. He's 3 years old. He's brilliant and funny and kind. Everything you're not. Everything you'll never be. Does he know about me? Knows his father didn't want him. That his father chose someone else. Chose money and status over his own child. The words were cruel. She meant them to be. But he also knows his mother would die for him. That he's loved beyond measure. That he's worth everything. I wish, Liam's voice cracked. I wish I could tell him I'm sorry. That it was never about him. That I was the broken one. Not him. Never him. He was perfect and I was too damaged to see it. Sophia stepped closer to the bed. Just one step. The detective says I could save you. That my serum might work. Might reverse the damage. Don't. Liam's voice was suddenly firm. Strong, despite everything. Don't save me because you feel obligated. Don't save me because you think Leo needs a father. I don't deserve to be saved, Sophia. I don't deserve anything except this. Dying alone, knowing I destroyed everything good in my life. You don't get to decide what you deserve anymore. Sophia interrupted. Her voice was cold, sharp. That's not how this works. You don't get to play the martyr. You don't get to be the victim in this story. She pulled out her phone, made a call. Patricia answered on the first ring. I need you to call Dr. Morrison at the FDA. Tell him to prepare the serum for compassionate use authorization. Emergency protocol. Sophia, are you absolutely sure about this? But do it anyway. She hung up and looked at Liam. Really looked at him. Saw the man who'd destroyed her. Saw the man who was dying. Saw the father who'd thrown away his son. I'm not doing this for you, she said clearly. And I'm not doing this because I forgive you, because I don't. I will never forgive what you did to us. But I'm doing this because Leo deserves the chance to know his father. Even if that father is you, even if you're broken and damaged and cruel. He deserves the choice. Liam was openly crying now. Thank you, God. Sophia, thank you. I can't. Don't thank me yet. Sophia turned toward the door, then paused. Because when you recover, and you will recover, you're going to work for it. You're going to earn your way back. Not into my life. That door is closed forever. But into his life. You're going to prove every single day that you can be better than the man who threw us away. How? Tell me how and I'll do it. You'll start by working for me. Entry-level position. Minimum wage. You'll learn what it's like to build something from nothing. What it's like to struggle. To fight for every dollar. To feel worthless and small and broken. Her smile was ice. Think you can handle that? Yes. Anything. I'll do anything for a chance to know him. To be his father. Good. Because if you fail, if you disappoint him, if you hurt him even once, Sophia's eyes were hard. I will destroy you so completely that this, she gestured at the hospital room, will look like mercy. She left the room. Walked down the hospital corridor on legs that felt like they might give out. Found a bathroom and locked herself inside. Then she cried. Really cried. For the first time since that night in the elevator, she cried for the girl she'd been. For the woman she'd become. For the son who'd never asked to be part of this mess. For the man dying in that room, who'd once been the love of her life. She cried until there was nothing left. Then she washed her face, fixed her makeup, and walked out. Patricia was waiting in the hallway. The serum will be here in 2 hours. Dr. Morrison himself is flying down to administer it. Good. Sophia, did you make the right choice? I have no idea. Sophia's voice was empty. Exhausted. But it's the only choice I could live with. And maybe that's enough. They walked out of the hospital together. Two women who'd fought their way up from nothing. About to save the life of a man who'd tried to destroy them. And somehow that felt like its own kind of justice, imperfect, messy, human, but justice nonetheless. 6 months later, Sophia sat on a bench in Bayfront Park, watching Leo run around with the kind of limitless energy only 3-year-olds possess. The Miami sun was warm on her shoulders. The air smelled like ocean salt and cut grass. Tourists were taking selfies by the bay. Joggers ran past. The world was doing what the world does, continuing, indifferent to personal dramas. For the first time in 3 years, Sophia felt something close to peace. Not happiness exactly, That still felt too big, too risky. But peace. The quiet kind that comes from knowing you survived. That you made it through the fire and came out the other side. Deca Martinez. She turned. Liam stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, looking uncertain. He looked healthier now. The serum had worked, better than anyone expected. The grey was gone from his skin. He'd gained back the weight. His eyes were clear, but he looked different in ways that had nothing to do with health. Smaller somehow, humbler. He wore jeans and a plain t-shirt, not the designer suits she remembered. His hair was longer, less perfectly styled. He looked like someone who'd stopped trying to impress people. "You're early," Sophia said, checking her watch. They'd agreed on 2 p.m. It was only 15:45. I didn't want to miss any time with him. Liam's eyes tracked to Leo, who was building an elaborate sandcastle, narrating an entire fantasy story to himself about dragons and knights. Is that him? Yes. They watched in silence. Leo was completely absorbed in his imaginary world. Moving little stick-figure knights around his castle, making sound effects. "He's beautiful," Liam whispered. His voice was thick. "He looks like you, I know. Patricia says it's cosmically unfair that he got your looks and my brains." Sophia smiled slightly. She's kidding. Mostly. Liam sat down on the bench, careful to leave distance between them, respectful of her space in a way the old Liam never would have been. "How's the trial going?" he asked quietly. Isabella's trial. It had been all over the news for months. She's looking at 25 years minimum. Turns out the person who hired her to finish poisoning you was her father. Sophia shook her head. He wanted your company. Figured if you died, Isabella would inherit, and he could take control. Greed makes people do terrible things. I would know. Liam's voice was barely audible. I'm an expert in letting greed destroy everything good. They sat in uncomfortable silence. A seagull landed nearby, eyeing Leo's sandwich. How's the job search going? Sophia asked. This was part of their arrangement. Liam had completed his 6-month entry-level position at SV Industries, working in the mail room, sorting packages, learning what it felt like to be invisible. Now he was looking for work elsewhere, trying to build a life without his name opening doors. I got an offer. Teaching business ethics at Miami-Dade College. Adjunct professor position. Pays $42,000 a year. Sophia raised her eyebrows. You're going to teach ethics? I know. The irony isn't lost on me. He managed a small, self-deprecating smile. But someone once told me I needed to earn my way back. To prove I could be better. I figure teaching others not to make my mistakes is a start. Maybe I can save some kids from becoming what I was. Before Sophia could respond, Leo ran over, breathless and covered in sand. His little face was flushed with excitement. Mummy, look. I made a castle with 3 towers and a moat, and the dragon lives in the tower, and the knights have to. He stopped mid-sentence, noticing Liam for the first time. His expression changed, became uncertain, cautious. Who's that? He asked, stepping closer to Sophia. Sophia's heart clenched. They'd practiced this moment, prepared for it, played different scenarios, but nothing made it easy. Nothing made it hurt less. She put her arm around Leo, pulling him close. Leo, this is Liam. He's your father. Leo stared at Liam with those dark, serious eyes. too serious for a 3-year-old. Eyes that had seen his mother cry too many nights. That had absorbed more than any child should have to. Then he turned to Sophia, the one who didn't want me. Sophia's throat closed. Leo. But Lam held up a hand. His eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. Yes, he said, looking directly at his son. I'm the one who didn't want you. And that makes me the stupidest, most broken person who ever lived. Because you're the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I missed 3 years of knowing you. 3 years I can never get back. Leo processed this with the intense, focused children have when adults are being honest with them. Mummy says you're trying to be better. I am. Every day. It's hard and I mess up a lot, but I'm trying. Lem's voice cracked slightly. But Leo, I need you to know something really important. Are you listening? Leo nodded. You didn't do anything wrong. You are perfect. I was the broken one. Not you. Never you. Do you understand? Are you still broken? Little bit. But I'm working on fixing it. And if you let me, I'd like to try to be your dad. A real dad. Not the one who wasn't there, but the one who shows up. Who tries. Who loves you even though he doesn't deserve to. Leo thought about this for a long moment. Sophia could see his little mind working, processing, deciding. Then he held out his hand, small, trusting, offering something infinitely precious. Do you want to see my castle? Liam looked at Sophia. She saw the question in his eyes. Is this okay? She nodded. I would love to see your castle, Liam said, taking the small hand in his larger one. His voice was shaking. Will you tell me about the dragons? There's 3 dragons! A red one and a blue one and a purple one? And they're not mean dragons. They're nice dragons who help the knights fight the bad guys. Leo's voice faded as they walked toward the sandbox together. Sophia watched them. This man who'd destroyed her life. This child who'd saved it, and felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness. She wasn't there yet. Maybe she never would be. But something. A crack in the armor. A possibility. Patricia appeared beside her, seemingly from nowhere, 2 coffees in hand. She always had perfect timing. How are you feeling? She asked, handing Sophia a cup, terrified. Angry, peaceful, all at once. Is that normal? That's parenting. Patricia sat down beside her. And for what it's worth, he really is trying. I didn't think he would. Thought he'd do the minimum, get bored, disappear again. But he's been in therapy 3 times a week, working with a counselor on what he calls his ego problems, reading books on child development. He's genuine. Sophia. I know. Sophia sipped her coffee, watching Liam crouch down to Leo's level, examining the sandcastle with appropriate seriousness. But trying doesn't erase what he did. Doesn't heal the wound. But maybe it builds something new. Something that wasn't possible before. Patricia squeezed her shoulder. You did good. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into strength. That's not revenge. That's alchemy. Sophia smiled despite herself. You sound like a fortune cookie. I sound like someone who's proud of you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching as Leo showed Liam every detail of his imaginary kingdom. Liam listened like it was the most important conversation of his life. Because maybe it was. After a while, Leo came running back, dragging Liam by the hand. Mummy, can Liam come for ice cream with us? please." He said he's never had ice cream from the truck. Sophia looked at her son, at his hopeful face, at the pure, uncomplicated joy of a child who still believed in second chances. Then she looked at Liam, at the man who'd once told her she smelled like poverty, who'd thrown his newborn son away like garbage, who'd nearly destroyed everything she'd built, the man who'd spent 6 months sorting mail without complaint, who'd taken his medication religiously and attended every therapy session, who'd shown up today 15 minutes early because he was afraid of missing even a second with his son. "Ice cream sounds good," she said finally. "But Leo gets to pick the flavors." "I always pick chocolate," Leo announced proudly. "Chocolate is the best!" "Then chocolate it is," Liam said. And the smile on his face was so genuine, so full of wonder at this simple moment, that Sophia felt her heart crack just a little, not breaking, opening. They walked to the ice cream truck together. Not a family, not exactly. Something undefined, something new. Leo held both their hands, swinging between them, chattering non-stop about dragons and knights and why chocolate ice cream was scientifically superior to vanilla. Liam laughed at something Leo said. A real laugh. Not the practiced, business laugh she remembered. Something genuine. And Sophia realized she was smiling. Actually smiling. At the ice cream truck, Leo ordered chocolate with sprinkles. Sophia got vanilla. Liam hesitated, looking at the menu like it was a test he might fail. "What do you recommend?" he asked Leo seriously.
"Chocolate, obviously."
"Then chocolate it is." They sat on a bench overlooking the bay. Leo between them, happily destroying his ice cream cone, getting more on his face than in his mouth. "You've got a little." Liam gestured at his own chin. Leo laughed and wiped at his face, somehow making it worse. Liam pulled out a napkin and gently cleaned Leo's chin. Such a simple gesture. Such a normal, parental thing to do. But Sophia saw the way Liam's hands shook slightly. Saw the wonder in his eyes, like he couldn't believe he was allowed to do this. Allowed to be here. "Thank you," Liam said quietly, not looking at Sophia. "For this, for giving me a chance I don't deserve. For," his voice cracked, "for letting me know him." Sophia didn't respond immediately. She watched a cruise ship on the horizon, watched tourists taking photos, watched the world continuing its indifferent turning. "Don't thank me," she said finally. "Thank him. He's the one who decided you deserved a chance. I'm just following his lead. He's better than both of us, he is. Which is why if you ever hurt him, Liam, if you ever make him feel unwanted or unimportant, or like he's not enough," she turned to look at him directly, "I will end you. Completely. And I have the resources to do it now. I know. I wouldn't expect anything less." Liam met her eyes. "I won't hurt him, Sophia. I swear on whatever's left of my soul. I will never make him feel the way I made you feel." They held eye contact for a moment, an understanding passing between them, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but something. A treaty, a truce. Leo finished his ice cream and immediately wanted to go back to the playground. He grabbed both their hands again, pulling them along. "Come on, I want to show Liam the swings." As they walked, Patricia fell into step beside Sophia. "You okay?" she murmured. "Yeah, I think I am. That's growth, you know." Letting him in, even a little, that takes courage. Or stupidity. Same thing sometimes. At the playground, Leo ran straight for the swings. "Push me, push me." Liam looked at Sophia, another question in his eyes. "Go ahead," she said. She watched as Liam pushed Leo on the swings, gently at first, nervous, then higher as Leo squealed, "More? Higher? Not too high?" Sophia called out, the mother in her unable to help it. "Got it?" Liam called back. And something about that moment, the casualness of it, the normalcy, made Sophia's chest tight. This was what she'd wanted 3 years ago. A family, a partner, someone to share the small moments with. The ice cream and the playgrounds and the ordinary magic of raising a child. She'd gotten it, just not the way she'd imagined. Her phone buzzed. A text from their CFO. Board meeting moved to Wednesday. Also, Forbes wants to do a profile piece on you. Title from janitor to CEO. The Sophia Martinez story. Sophia stared at the text. Forbes, a profile piece. On her 3 years ago. She'd been sleeping in a bus station with $43 and a newborn. Now she was going to be in Forbes. That's a good smile, Patricia observed. What happened? Sophia showed her the text. Patricia grinned. That's my girl. You're going to change the world, you know that? I'm just trying to get through the day. Same thing. They watched Leo and Lim on the swings. Listened to Leo's laughter carrying across the playground. So pure, so perfect. After a while, Leo ran back over, breathless and happy. "Mummy, can Liam come to my birthday party next week? Please?" Sophia's heart stopped. Leo's birthday. The 4th anniversary of the day he'd been born. The day everything had fallen apart and somehow, impossibly, begun again. That's up to you, sweetie. I want him to come.
He can meet all my friends from daycare, and Aunt Patricia, and Miss Maria from the shelter.
Sophia looked at Liam, saw the hope and fear warring on his face. If it's okay with you, he said carefully, I would be honored. But I understand if you can come. Sophia interrupted. But you're helping set up and clean up after. And if you show up late or flake out, you're done. Understood. Understood. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Leo cheered and hugged Liam's leg. Liam looked down at this little boy, his son, and Sophia saw tears in his eyes. Hey, Leo, Liam said, voice thick. I love you. I know I don't have the right to say it yet, but I do. I love you so much. Leo looked up at him, considering, then said, with the brutal honesty of children, I don't love you yet, but maybe I will, if you keep being nice. Liam laughed through his tears. That's fair. I'll keep being nice. I promise. Later that evening, after Liam had left and Leo was in bed, Sophia stood on her balcony, looking out at the Miami skyline. Patricia joined her, 2 glasses of wine in hand. You did good today, Patricia said, letting him in, even a little. That was brave. Was it? Or was it stupid? Can't it be both? Patricia smiled. Look, I'm not going to tell you to forgive him. That's not my place. And honestly, I don't know if I could. But I will say this, you're giving your son something you never had. A father who's trying, who's present, who's working to be better. That's a gift. What if he fails? What if he hurts Leo? Then you'll destroy him like you promised. But what if he doesn't fail? What if he actually becomes the father Leo deserves? Patricia clinked her glass against Sophia's. You survived the worst thing that could happen to you. You built an empire from nothing. You saved the life of the man who tried to destroy you. I think you can handle whatever comes next." Sophia sipped her wine, thinking about everything that had happened. Everything she'd lost. Everything she'd built. "You know what's funny?" she said. 3 years ago, when I was in that elevator, holding Leo, watching those doors close, I swore I'd make Liam regret what he'd done. I'd make him pay. And you did. No. I did something better. Sophia smiled. I made myself into someone who didn't need revenge. Someone who built something so beautiful, so important, that what he did became irrelevant. He took everything from me. But I took that emptiness and filled it with something he could never touch. And that's better than any revenge. Patricia raised her glass. To Sophia Martinez, who taught us all what real strength looks like. They clinked glasses and drank to the future. To second chances. To the messy, complicated, beautiful work of forgiveness. In his room, Leo slept peacefully, dreaming of dragons and castles and ice cream. And Sophia stood on her balcony, looking out at the city that had broken her, and watched her rebuild, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not happiness, not yet, but hope. Real, genuine, terrifying hope. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. THEEND. A story about falling, surviving, and learning that sometimes the best revenge is refusing to stay broken. That sometimes the greatest victory is building something so beautiful that the past becomes just a shadow. And that sometimes the hardest thing to do is give someone a second chance. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace.